You felt it the moment the title reached you. Because this is not a casual word and it is not a soft warning. It sounds like a summons that enters the room before you have time to organize your thoughts. And that is why your chest tightened, even before you could explain why. This message carries the weight of family, preparation, and a date that refuses to stay ordinary. It carries the sense that something hidden has already begun to move around your life. You are not hearing it by accident. You are hearing it because something in you has been standing at attention for longer than you admitted. The phrase lands like a knock on a closed door. It does not ask permission to matter. It asks you to listen. Maybe your morning looked normal on the outside, but your body knew better than your schedule did. You woke up, reached for your phone, and felt that strange pause where nothing was wrong and everything felt slightly off. The coffee was warm, the room was familiar, the same walls were still there, yet your shoulders carried a different weight. You have been moving through errands, messages, dishes, work and family noise, but something in your breathing has been shorter than usual. That is how the hidden call often begins. It is not loud first. It is a pressure in the chest, a silence that follows you into the kitchen, a thought that returns while you wash a cup. You keep telling yourself you are just tired, but the tiredness has a message inside it. What is being revealed is that this is not random timing. There are moments when God allows a word to arrive like a lantern in a hallway, not to entertain you, but to orient you. You may be standing in a season of family concern, practical burden, or quiet responsibility, and the signal is not that disaster owns you. The signal is that preparation is being requested of you before the pressure becomes visible to everyone else. That is why the title feels so specific. It is not trying to frighten you. It is trying to wake your stewardship. Some things are not being announced to the crowd because they are being entrusted to the one who has ears to hear. And when that happens, the old way of calling it coincidence no longer fits the room. You can see this in ordinary places if you pay attention. A family table with one chair still pushed back, attention. You need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. Message left unread, a calendar on the wall, a backpack by the door, a receipt on the counter, a child asking a question that seems simple but lands deep. The scene looks small, but your spirit notices the pattern inside it. You are not just living days, you are carrying signs. You may be the one who notices who is drifting, who is tired, who is pretending to be fine, who needs to be prepared before the pressure arrives. That sensitivity has cost you peace in some moments, because it makes you feel things earlier than other people do. Yet that is not weakness. It is discernment, learning how to stand up in a house full of ordinary sound. You have probably wondered why you feel more than you can explain. Why one word, one delay, one tone, one glance can sit inside you for hours. Why your heart keeps returning to the same concern even when everyone else has moved on. The answer is that sensitivity is not always fragility. Sometimes it is responsibility forming in the dark. You are not built to ignore what others can dismiss. You are built to notice what is about to matter. That is why the pressure has not left you alone. It keeps calling you back to what is true, even when the world around you wants you to stay casual. And casual is dangerous when a season is asking for attention. The opposition often arrives in ordinary clothing. It looks like distraction, 1,000 small tasks, another message, another opinion, another reason to postpone what should have been faced directly. It looks like emotional noise that fills the day, so you do not hear the quiet warning underneath it. It looks like pressure from people who want speed, when what you need is clarity. It looks like the old habit of carrying everything alone and calling it strength. You have felt that pull, the one that says keep moving, keep answering, keep delaying the deeper thing. But not every urgency is your assignment. Some urgency is only a mask for confusion. When you start seeing that, the noise loses its authority. There is a biblical echo here, and it sits close to home. Joseph was not prepared in a palace first. He was prepared in the places that did not look like promotion while he was still being misunderstood. Your situation may not match his details, but it carries the same shape, the hidden preparation before the visible responsibility. You know what it is to be in a room where people read you wrongly while God is forming your next step in plain sight. The strange thing about this kind of season is that it often feels smaller than it is. That is why you cannot measure it by applause. You measure it by whether your spirit is being made ready for what your life keeps circling around. If you ignore the signal, nothing dramatic may happen immediately, and that is what makes it deceptive. Repetition becomes familiar, and familiarity begins to feel like peace, even when it is only delay wearing a softer face. You keep saying later, and later starts to harden into a pattern. The cost is not always external at first. It shows up as inner noise, a heavier chest, shorter patience, a quieter confidence, a deeper exhaustion that no sleep quite fixes. You were not given discernment to decorate your life. You were given discernment so you would not walk blindly past what is being prepared. There is a difference between waiting and drifting. This is the difference you are being asked to feel. If even one of those signs landed inside you, type the number 888 in the comments. It is not a random number in this moment. It is a simple sign of overflow, a small agreement that you recognized what was being said. Your fingers typing it become a quiet witness that the message did not pass through you untouched. That is all it needs to be. Type 888, then come back to me. Stay with the thread, because the deeper pattern is not outside you alone. It is also in the part of you that keeps deciding whether to resist or receive, and that is where the real turning begins. The deeper pattern is never only about events, it is about what those events uncover inside you when no one is watching. You have learned how to manage appearances, how to keep moving, how to answer people quickly, how to appear steady while your inner life is asking harder questions. That is not hypocrisy. It is survival that has outlived its season. The present pressure is exposing what used to keep you safe, but now keeps you small. You can feel that in the way you hesitate before deciding, in the way you overthink a simple step, in the way your body braces before obedience. The message is not merely that something is happening. The message is that the old way of surviving cannot carry the new assignment. One root is fear of obeying too fully. You are not afraid of hearing, but you may be afraid of what hearing will require. That fear often dresses itself as caution, wisdom, timing, or being realistic. It tells you to wait until the room feels safer, until the people seem clearer, until the path becomes less costly. But obedience rarely arrives with perfect conditions. It arrives with a clear word and a trembling hand. You may have noticed how your mind starts bargaining right after conviction appears. That bargaining is a sign that the root has been touched. The root is not just confusion, It is the part of you that wants control more than peace. Your mind, your body, and your spirit do not always speak at the same volume. Your mind explains, your body reacts, and your spirit recognizes before the explanation is ready. That is why a room can feel wrong before you can prove it, and why a conversation can leave you drained before you know which sentence did it. You may call it overthinking when in fact it is inner alarm mixed with old memory. You may call it exhaustion when the real issue is that your spirit has been carrying what your mouth has not named. The danger is not feeling deeply. The danger is misreading the signal and then disciplining yourself for being awake. You are not broken for noticing. You are being trained to tell the difference. There are people and environments that only fit the old version of you. They do not necessarily hate your growth, but they resist it because your change interrupts the arrangement they depended on. A draining conversation, a familiar room, a casual invitation, a well-meaning comment can all pull you backward if you're not paying attention. This is why discernment is not suspicion. It is clarity with boundaries. You do not need to accuse everyone of harm, to admit that some settings no longer feed what God is building in you. The tension you feel in certain spaces is not there to shame you. It is there to instruct you. What once felt normal may now feel heavy because your inner life has moved. The strategy against you has often been slow, not spectacular. It tires you by making everything equally urgent. It confuses you by giving you too many small tasks before the one necessary step. It plants doubt by making you question whether you really heard what you heard. It fills your day with lesser things, so the greater thing remains untouched. This is why the battle feels so ordinary. It lives in postponed conversations, delayed boundaries, and the quiet decision to check one more thing before listening. Yet you are not being punished by this exposure. You are being revealed to yourself. Once you see the pattern, it loses some of its power. There comes a point when you stop negotiating with what has already been shown to you. You know that point by the quiet inside your own bones. The argument gets shorter. The excuses get thinner. The inner resistance no longer feels clever. It feels tired. That is the moment a threshold appears in the middle of an ordinary day. You may be standing near the sink, sitting in the car, folding clothes or staring at a screen, and something in you says, "This has gone on long enough." The old pattern cannot keep speaking as if it owns the room. You are being asked to move from explanation into response. That is where the next image begins to form. What has been hidden around you now begins to take shape like a house after the lights come on. You notice where the doors are, where the noise leaks in, where the corner stayed untouched, where the room was full but not settled. The metaphor here is not decorative. It is a house being prepared from the inside. It has walls of memory, windows of expectation, and a threshold you have crossed before, but not fully claimed. The house is your life, as it has been guarded, corrected, and quietly arranged. You are being shown that nothing real was wasted. Even the rooms you avoided were part of the preparation. Even the silence had a place in the building. There was a time when the house felt empty to you, not because it lacked presence, but because you could not yet read its meaning. You moved through your days with a sense that something important was nearby, but still covered. You put things down and picked them up again. You answered and then wondered if you had answered too quickly. You prayed and then felt the strange patience of a door that did not open when you wanted it to. That covered place inside the house was not a rejection. It was a protected room. Protection can feel like delay when you are impatient, but it often means the house is being kept intact until you can stand inside it without losing yourself. The opposition inside the house is the draft that keeps trying to slip under the door. It is the pressure that says the room is too small, the timing is too late, the risk is too high, the family burden is too heavy, the silence is too long. It is the voice that measures everything by what can be seen now and refuses to honor what is being built in hidden places. You know that draft. It comes through old fears, through comparisons, through the part of you that wants proof before trust. Yet the covered room does not need your panic. It needs your steadiness. What is sealed is not dead. What is quiet is not absent. What is paused is not denied. Then something in the house begins to move. Not all at once, not with noise, but with the kind of motion you notice only after you have been paying attention for a while. A curtain shifts, a latch loosens, a hallway seems less hostile than before. The room that felt sealed no longer feels forgotten. This is how recognition works when it becomes spiritual rather than emotional. You realize the house was never against you. It was waiting for you to become the kind of person who could live inside it without fear. That is why the movement matters. It tells you the preparation has not been pointless. It has been forming a readiness you could not manufacture by force. If the image I just walked you through landed in a place you cannot fully explain, type the words "Eu vejo isso" in the comments. Let the recognition settle where it landed, because this is not about performance. It is about a witness being made permanent inside your own record. Type "Eu vejo isso," then come back to me. The house is still the same image, but now you can see that the silence was active, not empty. The next step is not to force the door. It is to learn what to carry when you walk through it. That is the place where stewardship begins. Stewardship starts when you stop treating the house as a mystery and start treating it as an assignment. You notice what belongs in each room, what must leave, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be left alone for now. That is how a prepared family is made, not by dramatic speeches, but by measured attention. You may be learning that in your own home, through small choices that look almost too ordinary to matter. A conversation is delayed until it can be honest. A phone is put down so the room can breathe. A habit is interrupted before it becomes a law. These are not minor acts. They are the way the house learns your voice again. One practice is to begin the morning with a threshold pause. Before the noise starts, stand in one place, breathe slowly, and name what the day is for. The room may still be dim, the sink may still hold last night's dishes, and the phone may already be waiting, but the pause gives the house a center. You are not asking the day to be easy, you are asking it to be ordered. This practice matters because confusion loses ground when the first voice in the house is not panic. You are teaching your body that urgency is not the owner of the morning. You are placing intention where reflex used to rule. Another practice is to check what drains peace before it drains your attention. You already know the difference between a conversation that clarifies and one that scatters. You already know the difference between a room that settles you and one that leaves you restless. This second practice is not suspicion. It is wise noticing. It asks you to notice the places, voices, and habits that leave your shoulders higher than they were before. The point is not to become guarded in every direction. The point is to protect the house, so what is being built in it can stay standing. Quiet discernment is a form of love, and you know it when peace begins to return. Protection is often revealed through limits. A delay is not always a denial. Sometimes it is a barrier keeping the wrong energy from entering too soon. A closed door can be mercy when you would have entered under pressure and called it destiny. A postponed answer can keep you from making a decision with only half the information. You may not like that kind of protection because it does not flatter your impatience. Still, it is protection. The family you are being asked to prepare does not need your rush. It needs your steadiness. And steadiness often grows in the very place where your wanting had to wait. This is where your stewardship becomes visible in what you stop forcing. You stop explaining yourself to every voice that wants a performance. You stop trying to convince people who cannot yet hear the change in you. You stop using activity to avoid silence. Instead, you choose what is clean, what is calm, what is aligned. That choice may look small to others, but it is how a life becomes livable. The house is not prepared by constant motion. It is prepared by faithful ordering. Your refusal to rush is not laziness. It is obedience, learning how to breathe. If something in this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, let your like be your amen without words, not as a metric, as an agreement that what was named here was named correctly. Stay with that recognition for a moment, because it matters that agreement is not always loud. Sometimes it is the simplest gesture, the quiet yes that does not need a speech. Come back to me in that silence and notice how the house in you settles a little more. The same steadiness that quieted the morning is now asking to be carried into the day. That is how a hidden preparation becomes a visible way of living. There is someone whose face came to mind while this has been unfolding. You may not have named them, but you felt the weight of their presence in your thoughts. They may be quietly tired, working hard while feeling unseen, carrying a posture nobody notices, or holding a prayer they have not put into words. That is who this message can also reach. This is not a recommendation and not a promotion. It is a delivery. If that person came to mind, send this to them the same way you would place a glass of water near someone who has been walking too long in the heat. The act is small, but the timing is exact. You have probably noticed that care is often simple when it is real. It does not need noise to justify itself. It arrives with a name in mind, a face in memory, a sense that someone should not have to carry this alone. Sharing in this way is not about expanding an audience. It is about handing a word to the person who is already being touched by it. There is dignity in that kind of delivery. It says you saw them, even if they never said out loud how close they were to breaking. It says the house of this message has room for more than one life, and that is important because the preparation you are receiving is not meant to seal you off. It is meant to make you trustworthy with others. The identity declaration comes now because the agreement has been forming for a long time. You have seen the signs, felt the pressure, recognized the root, and watched the house become clear. So type the words "Eu sou de Deus" in the comments. This is not a wish and not a performance. It is confirmation of belonging, a spoken seal over the life that has been gathered through this message. Write it slowly and let your hand agree with what your spirit has been learning. Then come back to me, because the sentence does not end there. What you are claiming is not pride, it is placement. Placement changes everything because it tells you where you stand when the house gets loud again. You are no longer wandering between rooms as if you do not belong in any of them. You are standing where obedience placed you. The old story said you were behind, but the new story says you were being prepared. The old story said the silence meant absence, but the new story says the silence was building capacity. This is the moment where your inward life stops apologizing for being sensitive. Sensitivity was never your flaw. It was the instrument by which you were being guided toward what matters, and once that becomes clear, the whole house looks different. You can look back now and see how the signs were gathering in plain sight, the heavier shoulders in the morning, the unexpected pause before answering, the family concern that kept returning, the sense that something needed to be prepared before it could be explained. None of that was random. It was the language of a season asking for attention. What once felt like vague discomfort now reads like instruction. The house, the family, the threshold, the pause, the hidden room, the return to steadiness, all of it belongs to one story. That story was never trying to overwhelm you. It was trying to form you, and now the pieces are beginning to sit in the same frame. That is why the old way of rushing no longer fits. You are not being asked to sprint through the house and call it faith. You are being asked to walk it with awareness. You are being asked to notice what settles, what shifts, what remains. You are being asked to tell the difference between noise and instruction, between fear and discernment, between motion and readiness. The house becomes honest when you stop pretending that every sound is the same. It is in that honesty that preparation takes shape. The family is not merely an idea, it is a living trust, and you are being trusted with it. What has changed inside you is not only what you know, it is what you can no longer unsee. The house may still have unfinished places, but you are no longer frightened by the unfinished. You know how to wait without collapsing now. You know how to breathe before reacting. You know that a delay can be a wall of mercy rather than a wall of refusal. That knowledge is quiet, but it is strong. It keeps you from calling every closed door a failure. It reminds you that some doors are waiting for your peace, not your panic. And peace, once recognized, becomes a kind of furniture in the soul. Right now, all across the world, others are receiving this same quiet recognition in their own rooms, their own kitchens, their own family tables, their own late-night thoughts. You are not isolated in this house. You are part of a larger work that does not need to announce itself to be real. The same kind of hidden preparation is touching lives that look very different on the surface, but the pattern is one. Someone else is learning to pause before speaking. Someone else is learning to keep their peace when the room grows crowded. Someone else is realizing that what was called delay was actually formation. You are not alone in that. You are standing inside a shared mercy. You have been confirmed in the waiting, remembered in the silence, and steadied in the tension. You are not late, and you are not forgotten. You are being returned to the place where your yes can become useful, where your care can become shelter, where your life can become a room of calm instead of a corridor of noise. You are being made ready for what your hands will have to hold. You are being made ready for what your words will need to carry. You are being made ready for the family that will feel the difference when you stop running from the preparation. Walk gently now. Keep what was given to you. Stay inside the peace that has begun to return. It is sealed. Hope, attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuzazuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.